Fighting corruption has been a Herculean task for us as a country. Facts emerging from the agencies at the forefront of the fight against graft point to the difficulties involved. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has called the Ministry of Finance, Education, Power and Education low in its latest Ethics and Transparency Index reports. The breakdown of the report shows that 52 agencies scored 0 in the ranking and were marked as high corruption risk by the Commission. Prominent among them is the Federal Ministry of Education, the Supreme Courts, the Court of Appeal, the National Judicial Institute, NJC, the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, National Bureau for Statistics, NBS, and the National Pension Commission. Gentlemen, there's fire on the mountain. Kazim, what's the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal doing on that list?
What list? You know the list of agencies that are corrupt?
Yes.
Well, I think you and I know that in Nigeria, you know, we're quite familiar with agencies that are corrupt, whether they are listed or not. But having the strong political will, the capacity, and the resilience to insist that the right things must be done, that just
Today, the names, I'm looking at this ministry, even the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission.
Well, I think, in the report, they said that 360 MDAs, ministry and departments, were sent the questionnaire, and the 50 refused. They even refused to acknowledge or to answer those questionnaires. If you refuse to answer, it means that something is amiss. It means that probably there are certain questions that are being asked that the least official, either in the ministry, it's unfortunate that we mentioned judiciary, because the...
Okay, let's go back to Kazim. We're talking about the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal.
Yes. You see, there is slow administration of justice in Nigeria. When you interrogate judges, if you speak to judges who are your friends, they will tell you that the volume of work at their disposal is quite high. And so the tendency for you to commence and conclude issues of anti-corruption cases that are peculiar in their own very way to anti-corruption becomes, takes a longer time for you to dispense with. And so I think I would have supported a situation where there are special courts set up predominantly to handle cases of anti-corruption. The idea was mooted some time ago, but since this administration came on board, it has been rested. I would love to see a situation where there are special courts. If you look at countries that have, contended with anti-corruption fights, you will discover that they set up special courts. A good example is the Singaporean experience. Those who take courses in anti-corruption, they will tell you that the Singaporean experience is a best bet. And even in Africa here, what we need to do as a country is for you to set up special anti-corruption courts that will be vested with the responsibility of handling those cases in record time. But when you say somebody is corrupt or alleged to be corrupt, and you are spending 2, 3, 4 years to prosecute one case, the steam will peter out, and even the interest to sustain such a fight will become minimal. So for me, it's not just about Supreme Court, it's not about Appeal Court. There are quite a number of other places. A lot of agencies are corrupt. We know this, we see this, but our sense of communalism as a country, as Africans, it's difficult for you to look at your friend in the face and say you want to jail him or her, except you have that strong political will and you are ready to do just the needful or the rightful thing, in interest of the country. But does the country protect you if in the final analysis you are able to do certain things within the ambits of the law? The country does not protect. You retire, you don't get your pension, you don't get your gratuity. So the welfare system is almost non-existent. So it's a problem. When you retire, what is your place in the society? So there are a lot of things that must be done in fighting anti-corruption. What we are doing presently is just mere papering.
Today, I'm worried. You know, I was placing the emphasis on Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. Now, that body that is in charge of to oversight the courts, the judges, and everybody. NJC, Nigeria Judicial Institute.
Well, we have to look at the fact that it is, I think, it's systemic and institutional corruption. The old judiciary, because those people who are there got there by a particular process. And so far, like he said, the kind of setup we have in Nigeria, the wind of justice is very, very slow. It grinds so slow to the fact that except you have what it takes, you cannot get justice in Nigeria. If it is difficult for a poor man or for even an influential person to get justice in Nigeria, you can now imagine how it will be so easy for people who are poor to get justice in this country. So the wind of justice in Nigeria just grinds so slow that except we do something about the institution and the system. We talk about strong institutions. When there are no strong institutions like the National Judicial Council, if the NJC is weak, what do you expect the Supreme Court to do? What do you expect the Court of Appeal to do? I think, like he said, besides setting up special courts, I think the judiciary have to be on a particular level in which their money is charged directly from the consolidated fund so that they can approach their priorities well and deliver justice well. In a situation whereby the release of funds from the Office of the Accountant General is dependent on the AG, which means if there's a case involving the AG, Accountant General of the Federation, or any of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Justice, the case will be stored because it will not release money. So I think this thing is institutional and we have to do something about it. We have to go to the fundamentals of the Nigerian nation and look at, when you look at education, the same thing. A lot of agencies are under the Ministry of Education. JAM is under, as big as it is, it's under the Ministry of Education. National University Commission, as big as it is under the Ministry of Education. So when you look at those institutions, except they are powerful enough, they cannot do what is right. And when they cannot do what is right, you cannot expect them to open their books. Like he said, if you retire as a High Court judge, I know it is only Lagos State that when you retire as a High Court judge, you have something for yourself. Go and look at other states. When they bring a matter before you, probably about 500 million, and you know that you have no house to retire to, how will the person get justice? You cannot get justice because the system is flawed.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, and we're reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I still have Mr. Kazim Afegwa and Tunde Abaton with me. And that means government agencies, almost all, something must be done about corruption. Kazim, corruption in government agencies, if we are listing 52, that's scored zero in the ranking.
Out of 360.
Out of 360.
We have more than 350 government agencies. Nigerian government agencies are 612. And predominantly, there are some of them that are not so pronounced. We don't get to hear them, but they enjoy budgets. Every year, budgets are being presented to the National Assembly. But the point is, which I raised earlier, is that if you must fight corruption head on, you must be able to set standards. The institutions that are fighting corruption must be able to set standards. And what do I mean? You cannot be accusing agencies of lethargy when you are committing the same lethargic offense. By extension, I don't know the budget of EFCC year in, year out. You don't get to see their audited statement of account, EFCC. You don't get to see ICPC audited statement of account. They should live as examples for other agencies so that when you are taking them to task, they will know exactly what you are talking about. Look at the Accountant General that was alleged to have misappropriated 117 billion, which rose to over 200 billion. As we speak, he's on bail and he's resting in his house. How do you want the younger elements in the society to react to cases of people who are being jailed for 2 naira, 2 million naira, 5 million naira, and such categories of money? When people who are stealing billions are granted bail, and oftentimes they enter into plea bargain, and you allow them to walk away. I think as a country, we must adopt the Singaporean model. I keep saying this because in Singapore, the corruption was very rotten. The system was rotten from the police, army, everybody. But it took the resilience and strong political will of the people to be able to build institutions that were used to checkmate incidences of this. And they started by frying the big fishes. You fry the big fishes when you catch big teeth, you fry them. Botswana in Africa here is a lovely country with good profile when it comes to anti-corruption. But over here in Nigeria, you have EFCC, you have ICPC, you have NFIU, and all of that. If you look at the operations in all these places, my brother, it is rub my back and rub your back. That's the truth. When people place calls, they want to call somebody, oh, please release this one, release this one. Why will an accountant general that is appropriated 170 billion, for example, be set free on bail? Why? So these are the issues. It's not about agencies, individuals in those agencies and all of that. So if you want to build an institutional framework for proper accountability, prudent management of resources, you must be able to set rules and regulations that will not be bendable to the whims and caprices of certain individuals who see themselves as primus inter pares in the society. We must use the rule of law to level the ground for all participants, all partakers in the collective patrimony of Nigeria, so that when certain infractions are seen or considered to have been done, then we can use that law to apply it, holistically. But over here, there is big man in the eye of our law. There is poor man in the eye of our law. That should not be. The law should be a leveler for everybody. The law should be a leveler. But when you don't apply the law, it becomes a problem.
Okay, we have Boniface calling us from Jos. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Uncle Ayo.
Good evening. My
regard to you people.
Go ahead, please.
Uncle Ayo, what I want to actually say is I respect to their former years. Hello?
Go ahead.
It's in respect to your former discussion when you talk about Ashwaju Ahmed Tinubu going to Enugu State. I am very, very happy that Ashwaju Ahmed Tinubu went to Enugu State. We watched the program live, and we are very, very, and that is very welcome. I'm from Enugu State. So when you are talking that the crowd that is there, that crowd are not Igbos. I'm not against Ashwaju Ahmed Tinubu, because when I watched it live from beginning to the end, when Igbo man say Igbo Kwenu, he say hey, not hey. So when we are hearing people say hey, you know.
Okay, Boniface talking about the rally in Enugu. Let me tell you about one. Let me take you back here and talking about ICPC, EFCC. So far, the way they've combated corruption, and this government, that's one of the main team and used to use in campaigning to fight corruption. So how would you assess this?
Well, I think whether we like it or not, in the last 5 years or so, the ICPC and EFCC, they have really made a mark. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that, like I said the other time, the will of justice grants so slow. No special law has been made, or no special court has been created to ensure that cases of corruption, high cases of corruption, are dealt with speedily as they should be done, like you said. But unfortunately, we have to, like the EFCC, unknown to many people, that they have secured about over 2,000 convictions in the last couple of years. The EFCC alone. Talk less. Only 2 weeks ago, the EFCC said they put some houses for auction in all parts of Nigeria. See, I think these are a point of, because 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you never heard of this thing. In fact, this case will not be mentioned again. So I think it's a starting point, whether we like it or the ICPC too, at least in the manner of, in fact, there was a time I attended a conference about 2 years ago when a member of the House of Rep or Senate He secured constituency fund. He built an event center. At the end of the day, when his tenure expired, he converted it to himself. ICPC got it back from him. They got it back from him. So I think we just have to start. We just have to encourage them to keep on doing. But the most important thing, like I said, there's no special court is created to expedite action on trying people for corrupt cases. It makes it so difficult. Like I said now, when somebody steals 100,000 naira, they will dispense with the case before you know it. But when somebody has 1 billion, 10 billion, he has enough money to hire lawyers who will do a lot of inter-country injunction, a lot of cases they will bring up. They have enough money to stall the court proceedings. So I think it is about having a very good system in place, institution in place that will do this thing. Whether we like it or not, ICPC or AFCC, at least they have done something. They have introduced something to think that you cannot just do anything and go away with it and get a slap in the wrist judgment. But let us know that somebody is watching at any point in time.
All right.